Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1559. Welcome to Café Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont, the last place on earth. And we're at Café Anyway. We got Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, John Deere, the engineer, stopping by. And I'm going to just throw some stuff out at you from my mind hole. And today, I would like, last week,
Mike's Daily Podcast,
we discussed Nancy Pelosi. We discussed her. We disgusted her. And
Mike's Daily Podcast,
and how there's a lot of Nancy bashing, but she did that 8-hour speech. That's the first time someone's done that since, almost 100 years ago, back in 1909. That's back when you were not even alive. Probably. Unless you're a senior
Mike's Daily Podcast
citizen who loves podcasts. That is not possible. That doesn't exist.
Mike's
Prove me wrong.
Daily
If you're a senior citizen
Podcast,
why don't you give me a call?
yeah!
Pick up the phone and call me at 336-MM Daily. Just call me. We'll talk. And that was my Linda Richmond impression that nobody remembers. But if you call me, my
Ring, banana phone.
my banana phone will ring. And that's what I want, is a banana phone ringing. Oh, wait, someone just walked in. Hello, McManus. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. Are you going to get that? Sure. Hello? Hi. Oh, it's John Deere, the engineer. Yeah, I'm calling you on my really good phone that doesn't sound like a phone. Oh, okay. And now I just walked in. Hi, John Deere, the engineer. Oh, we don't need the phone after all. Yeah, it's great. And I'm Floyd the Floorman. You guys are awesome. Yeah, so she did this 8-hour speech, which is... the press just kind of flew right past that. And there's this sort of framing going on. Hey, so Nancy Pelosi gave this 8-hour speech, and the Democrats still caved in on the government shutdown, and we didn't end up having a shutdown. But then I find out by listening to The Daily, that's the New York Times podcast.
And here's today's podcast picture.
That in fact the Democrats got a lot in the House of Representatives, which never happens because you've got that guy, Paul Ryan, Mr. I work out every day, Mr. I'm super duper fit and know so much about money and stuff and have to say this to the press.
I think part of what is happening, I think Democrats are letting their hair on fire to get you to cover this story, to kind of keep repeating the same story.
I can't light my hair on fire, for I have no hair. Except on my chest. I have a hairy chest. I don't know why God gave me that. It's like, Mike, we're going to make you smooth on top, like you're some kind of a billiard ball. And then below the neck, you're going to be all Robin Williams hairy. And you're going to look kind of like a big bear. Maybe you should move to the Bay Area. Because of all the bears that live there. California, our flag has a bear on it. Maybe I'm in the right spot, California. Hey, I wanted to tell you the podcast picture today is very timely. And that's what this show is about, being timely and timeless. And time, see what's become of me as I look around at my possibilities.
It makes me mildly nauseous.
You don't like my singing? Where's Simon Cowell, that jerk guy? We have a thing of him saying something. No, we guess we don't. We did.
You will never, ever, ever have a career in singing.
I wish I could find it. What, that was it? No. Anyway. Café Anyway. If you blink, you'll miss so much on this show. Does your ear blink? Be careful. If your ear blinks, you'll miss a bunch on this show. That's 195% proof.
It's 130% true.
Oh, okay. Whatever. Hey, Café Anyway. Hey, There was a thing I wanted to play on the Super Secret Sunday show. I wanted to play it, and I'm just going to play it right now.
There's not a person in this room who hasn't done that.
So if you want context, you have to go back to the Super Secret Sunday show to understand what the context was of that. But context is schmon text. Robert Siegel. Do I want to jump into that? Well, yeah, we're done with Nancy. The Daily New York Times does a great podcast that's out today about Nancy Pelosi and how she gave this super long speech. And the main point of this speech was to talk about the Dreamers. That's all it really is about. The Dreamers and how many Dreamers there are and what they mean to this country. And it was just to clarify all that, because the Democratic Party is having an identity crisis at the moment because Trump, yes, he's the Republican, but he does some Democratic things here and there that's really irritating. So he's getting a lot of Democrats, that white male Democrats that are, I kind of like Trump. So she wanted to say, hey, no, this is what Democrats are about. As the Democrats got a lot in the House Representative bill that Paul Ryan.
I think part of what is happening, I think Democrats are lighting their hair on fire to get you to cover this story, to kind of keeps repeating the same story.
And I just explained it all. But you can find out more in the New York Times thing. But, okay, now I wanted to say the podcast picture is Basil the Boxer, and he is eating grass. Because the grass is growing all over the hills of Podcastro Valley. And dogs, not just Basil, are eating the grass because the grass is succulent and rich and green and delicious. And my friend, that grass will all be gone by April. It's going to be gone. Like a new Brett Dennen song called Already Gone, which is a pretty good song. And I'm hearing it on some of the cool stations we have locally that play that kind of music. That we call adult alternative, which we don't have those type stations. Like when I lived in Alabama, there was no stations like that. You had to go up to Nashville to listen to Lightning 100 to have adult alternative and listen to some cool bands and not just the stupid, mindless freaking... There's this alternative music. It springs out of the emo movement of the 90s. And okay, so Green Day was kind of in that camp, but then Mr. Billy Joe Armstrong really found his voice and said, no, we're not gonna just go all the time. We're gonna get kind of deep and talk about my father dying and talk Wake Me Up When September Ends, which when that song was a big hit, sadly my father passed away. And Billy Joe Armstrong is like my age and looks way younger than me. Damn it. And he's got hair. And he comes from this area. But he took the band in a good direction. I like the bands that didn't get so far into that crappy emo. Good God, and there's a lot of indie rock that's still in that vein, and I just can't stand it. And there's a friend of mine, she's all into and she's probably going to listen to this podcast. Just when I think she's not going to listen to any of my podcasts, she listens to one of them, and it ends up being this one. But okay, this is real talk. You listen to a lot of bands just because the guy wears skinny jeans and he's like this baby face baby doll guy, and he sings, and there's a bunch of synthesizers, and it's like this total disco beat. And I don't know specifically what band I'm talking about, but there's a lot of bands like that, and it's just the same. And there's nothing there. It's vapid. Okay, I tried writing a song over the weekend on Sunday, and I just did it sort of spur of the moment. My friend asked, and I wrote some lyrics, and I tried to put it on. It's tough, but I remember back when I really was writing songs, and I could really do it. And there was some, like, you write, and like Billy Joe Armstrong, like he found something with that American Idiot album that was perfect and dead on, and he dug in there and he drilled, and it was great. And that's like the stuff, songwriters that hit that vein, that's when that's when it's pure gold. And yeah, he made a lot of money off that album, Billy Joe Armstrong, but he deserved it. It was good stuff.
That's gold, Jerry. Gold!
Anywho, just the crap that's out there. Oh my God. And I love indie rock. I admit it. And I listen to Bagel Radio online, soma.fm, soma.com. And there's some good stuff in there because they mix in, they go back to the 60s. They go back to like obscure bands from the 60s that were awesome garage band. When we kind of veer off into the garage band world, I love that. In the punk world, that's cool. And you know, I love going, but I love all kinds of music. It's just some of the, get rid of the skinny jeans and your little baby doll. You're only 12 years old. Why are you recording a record? Shut up. Hey, speaking of young people, I don't understand what's going on with NPR these days. National Public Radio. You've got it, probably where you are. National Public Radio. There used to be an old guy on there. He just retired, Robert Siegel. Hi, I'm Robert Siegel. He's gone. And, oh, by the way, I was talking about King George, the George that was the king when we were getting our revolution, when we were revolting against England. And I think I still can't remember if he was George II or George III. I'm sorry, you historians that are throwing tomatoes at your podcast listening device. But yeah, that George, fascinating. I just watched a documentary about him on YouTube, which I love. And it was fascinating because he was
understanding how to avoid being a despot, how to be a good and patriotic king.
He had all of his papers. He saved every single paper. And we're going back to the 1780s, 1770s, you know, the rockin' 70s and 1760s, etc. The late 18th century, as it were. And, he saved all of his papers, and the papers became public a year ago. And they're coming through all the things he wrote. And it's just fascinating, this king who was slowly going crazy or mad or whatever the clinical term is. He was having issues. And, fascinating stuff. And his son just was whoring around. Check it out. It's called George III, The Genius of the Mad King. It was a BBC documentary from 2017. He was, Britain's longest reigning king. Oh, and it is George III. All right. So now we've finally... So, Mr. Obama got his...
That working with Kehinde was a great joy.
He got his portrait painted.
And
it is scary as crap. I saw it yesterday on C-SPAN as it was being unveiled, and I was, oh no. Oh, now there's big fans of this artist that did it. Who was the artist? They don't say here in this clip. Oh, he says, you've made... Kehinde. There we go.
There were a number of issues that we were trying to negotiate. I tried to negotiate less gray hair. And Kehinde's artistic integrity would not allow him to do what I asked.
There you go. Well, you're not president anymore, so unfortunately people don't do what you tell them to. But not like you're a king, which is important. Carbuncle. I just wanted to throw out that word. And on to the recreated face of Queen Nefertiti. Ooh, I think I said a bad word. I said Nefertiti. Sparks whitewashing. Now, what was supposed to be a historical reconstruction project showing the face of King Tut's biological mother for the first time has turned sour amid accusations of whitewashing. And that's all I'm going to read about that story. You'll have to find out more. There is a love missile. Shoot it up, shoot it up, shoot it. Was Sid Sputnik? Oh, that was a good... Oh, talk about crappy alternative music from the 80s. This guy went crazy with reverb. What did he just say? All right, that song's called Love Missile. F111. Okay, anyway, this missile, it's a softer version of the intercontinental ballistic missile weapon capable of carrying a nuclear warhead. It's an intercontinental ballistic love missile standing 14 feet tall. Indian Head Drive front lawn in Tallahassee, Florida. Okay, there you go. That's where you can find it. I just gave out the address. Love missile. Inside an info box are copies of its associated love manifesto, complete with love action ideas, smile often, befriend neighbors, plant a tree, be there for someone. Imagine a neighborhood, a community, a country, a world where love permeates all beings and things. Together we can make that a reality, it says. Cupid 1 is elder care social worker Eddie Gein's labor of love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. There's nothing that you can just said that can't be said. Nothing you can do that can't be did. Nothing you can say. It's easy. All you need is love. Ba-da-ba-da-da-da. At long last, Senate debates Dreamer Immigrants' future. The U.S. Senate has carried through with their promise of beginning a major free-for-all immigration debate. This is what Chuck Schumer wanted a couple weeks ago, remember? It's first in nearly 5 years. This began last night. That could decide the fate of at least 700,000 Dreamer immigrants. Hey, Education Department no longer investigating transgender bathroom complaints. Okay, there we go. It's no longer investigating civil rights complaints. Yikes. So then we have the Japanese skater who's suspended in the first doping case in Pyeongchang. And that, by the way, was the previous New York Times daily podcast. They were talking all about how Russia did the doping in the last Winter Olympics. How it was a very a complicated way that they were able to do this thing night after night. They were able to trade out the contaminated urine that was full of steroids and put in clean urine, and the people running the Olympics were none the wiser. Japanese short track speed skater Kai Sato has tested positive for a banned diuretic in the first doping case of the Pyeongchang Olympics. Speaking of skiers and skaters, etc., and I love curling, as I mentioned last show. The Swiss, because they yell at each other, the mixed couples curling, it's so great. They're just, no, go down, go further down. Oh, it's great. Watch it. Swiss skier rode an escalator with one hand. What? Apparently that is a video that people are watching going, what? Gave new meaning to the term lift rider. Jokingly take a ride alongside an elevator. That is not something people should try and copy. That looks very dangerous. So, yeah.
It's expected to be back at it first thing this morning.
Oh, the DACA deal, they're working on that. President Trump touting his proposals on immigration infrastructure as they face uncertain prospects in the Congress. In a tweet today, which we should do the royal tweet decree.
The royal Trump tweet decree.
Asserted that Democrats and Republicans must act now to provide legal protection to young dreamers. He was referring to the deadline, which is coming up March 5th. And then finally, Daryl Singletary. Yes, I used to play country music for 11 years in Ventura, and then I played it for about a year in Alabama, and then for about 2 years on the internet on Country Crossroads Radio. This was fairly recently, and we would play Daryl Singletary. He had a song called I Let Her Lie and Too Much Fun. What's that mean? And he also had I Got an Amen kind of love. Anyway, he had a cool country voice a la Randy Travis, very traditional sounding, but he passed away. He died at the age of 46, younger than me, and the official cause of death has yet to be determined. Oh, there's people downstairs I gotta let in. So let's wrap up the show as we go outside a Café Anyway. We're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley.
Yeah, how's the mic, Mike?
Next show, it will be Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. Have a wondrous day.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!